Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this episode of Listening to Lancaster with the Hourglass. My name's Leah Zickman. I'm the executive director here at the Hourglass, and I'm with Larry Cohen today, who is the executive director at Lancaster Parking Authority. Thanks so much for joining, Larry.
Thank you. I appreciate this opportunity to share what the parking authority does on a broad basis to a lot of people.
Awesome. Well, I wanted to start off with a tagline that you used, which was, "We do more than park cars and write tickets." So I'd love to just start off with you giving us a brief overview. I think most people probably know what Lancaster Parking Authority does, but I'm here to learn and kind of dive into new things today. So, yeah, tell me a little bit more about what you do and the, basis behind that tagline.
Yeah, the tagline is really a lot of people think that that's all we do is park cars and write tickets. One of my neighbors told me once, "What can't you tell me in 5 minutes that I don't know about parking?" So really, at some point, I put together everything that we are involved in, and it's pretty interesting. And I think I'll lay that out during this time. Our mission with the Parking Authority is to support the economic growth and development of the city for the benefit of everyone. So we're involved in many different things. The usual things are on-street parking, meter parking, off-street parking, all the garage parking. Obviously, residential permit parking, we do enforcement for, and we do enforcement for street sweeping as well. And the one thing that we're pretty active in that people might not be aware of is we are actual land developers.
Great. Um, and one of the things that you had kind of shared with me ahead of time that I wanted to dive into was ways that Lancaster Parking Authority gives back to the community. Could you share some examples with me about what that looks like?
Well, I think the biggest way we get back to the community is, as a community as a whole, um, the burden of parking demand is borne onto the parking authority. And what that means is Lancaster City got rid of their parking minimums, which stated to developers, if you're going to do a project in the city, you have to provide the parking for your project. So, for example, if there's a hotel project, the Holiday Inn, the Marriott, if they have 100 rooms, their responsibility is to provide parking for 100 for their project. Now, in the old days when there was parking minimums in other cities where there are parking minimums, the developer has to build that parking. So they have to take a lot of their capital dollars and put it toward parking versus their prime project as well. Lancaster City doesn't have the parking minimums in the central business district. There's other areas where the city that they still have the minimums. But so what that's done is it's relieved developers and allowed them to take their capital resources and put it in their project. But what that does to the parking authority, it says it makes sure we have to make sure that there is enough parking to satisfy the demand of developers in the projects that they do. So that's probably the number one thing. The other things that we do, obviously do a ton of in-kind programs for the city. The best example is we have a program called the 12 Free Days of Christmas. We provide free street meter parking leading up to Christmas every year. Well, the price tag to the parking authority is it's over a $50,000 loss of revenue. That is our gift to the community, the business community, and the city as a whole. So that's another large thing that we do. We coordinate with many other events and just support, as I said, in our mission, support the economic growth and vitality of our city. So we have played an incredibly vital role with the resurgence and where the city stands today.
One thing I was curious about is technology. How has Lancaster Parking Authority implemented technology and kind of in I think you said 15 years that you've been doing this work, what has changed for you in that over time?
Well, I think people would be surprised at how technology driven we are as an organization. Like a company like Tesla would say, regardless of politics. They would say, we're a tech company building cars, right? And we actually say we're a tech company, we're a parking authority, but we're really deep down, we're a tech company parking cars. So we employ upwards of 7 different systems that run the authority every day, from the mobile app, on-street kiosk, off-street parking, our citation payment portals, obviously our accounting systems. So people who aren't familiar with our organization, whether a new employee or otherwise, are really surprised at how much we get into. And we've evolved over the years where we've evolved from relying on other organization companies servicing us to now we have at least 2 technology folks within the organization that maintains our operation from the hardware side, from the software side, to make sure it's a very seamless process. So we're always looking into the future, as far as how we can take advantage of where we're positioned after all these years as a technology company that parks cars.
Are there any areas for improvement that you see right now in the way of, parking and technology?
Yeah, I mean, we always strive to be a best-in-class organization. We actually just got there's an accreditation for parking authorities. So we're an accredited parking organization with distinction that we just achieved in 2025. We're only one of a handful of organizations in the country that have maintained that high level in everything that we do. Um, but at the end of the day, from the customer perspective, we want to keep it simple, right? It's ease of access, ease of egress, and ease of payment. And we've done that, as I said, through our Park Mobile app on the streets. We just most recently added Apple Pay, Google Pay in the garages for customers. We have a lot of student population that don't carry any money. They just carry their phone. We also use license plate recognition technology for in and out access for monthly parkers. So now, if you're a monthly parker, you can sign up with your license plate and you never have to get out of your car, lower your window. You just drive in and out like Easy Pass. And that was a dynamic that a former mayor, a challenge he gave us many years ago, and now we're delivering on those promises.
That's great. It's always great to be given a challenge like that, and maybe you don't always see how it's going to come together, but then being able to actually follow through.
Yeah.
I have this like theory or feeling that most people in their positions have some kind of like, if I could figure out how to solve this problem in this position, this is what I would love to see happen. Do you have anything like that with regards to technology and how Lancaster Parking Authority functions right now?
Well, I think we live it every day, as I told you. I mean, we live it in our strategic plan. Our strategic plan lays out the next 3 to 5 years, and we don't go further out than 5 years because things change so drastically in 5 years. And the changes could be technology, but they could also be COVID. They could also be economic conditions. There's other factors other than technology that impacts how we do our business every day. So, I draw consensus and input on our strategic plan. I know that was a conversation for later, but our strategic plan really lays out kind of a broad spectrum of what we're involved in, what we oversee, how we maintain ourselves as a best-in-class organization, whether it's in keeping our 50 to 60-year-old garages looking like they're brand new, which I've been told, or making sure our people are the best personnel we can have. They're customer service focused. So it's capital improvements, it's financial integrity, it's human resource capital, investing in our folks. It's a wide range of areas.
Yeah, I'm happy to kind of move into that if you want to talk more specifically about what you're most excited about in the strategic plan that you're working on right now, or anything that you've got your sights set on.
Well, I've outlined a lot of things already. I think it's more of not the actual tactical pieces of it, but any organization that does a strategic plan is it's critical. So I report to a board of five, and that board of five is appointed by the mayor. And so that's our relationship to the city. In addition to the city backs our debt in case we were default. Other than that, I haven't laid it out yet, but we're an independent municipal authority. So we're like a water authority or a sewer authority. So we function like a small business within the city. People don't realize that. We have our own benefits and everything else. So we're a very streamlined organization. There's not a lot of layers, and we can get things done really quick, which is terrific. From a strategic plan perspective, the key to me with any strategic plan, whatever the tactical things that you need to achieve over that course of time is, there's buy-in from everyone who's on board, the mayor, my board of directors, myself, and my staff, and that we're all buying into that strategic plan and we're all heading in the same direction and we have checkpoints along the way. And it's a very clear, concise, this is what we need to achieve over the next 3 to 5 years. A lot of the stuff's repetitive. It's always customer service. As a municipal authority, customer service is our number one priority. And we have different types of customers, right? We have customers who park in garages who are happy. We have customers who have to pay a citation who aren't real happy, right? No one wants to use their discretionary income to either pay for parking or pay for a citation. But our job is to make sure that it is done in a customer service friendly way, professionally. And that's always been that plays across all of our strategic plans. I'm on my fourth strategic plan. And then obviously making sure that our revenue integrity, we're running a tight organization without leakage. And the revenue that we're making goes right back into our organization. We're putting it right back into our program. We spend $1 to $2 million a year in structural rehab on our very old infrastructure of parking garages to make sure that they're in a state of good repair. So to me, the strategic plan, without doing a deep dive, is the common themes of what it actually means as an organization.
That's great. And you touched on this a little bit when you brought up citations, but I wanted to ask you to maybe spend some time explaining like the importance of street cleaning in Lancaster. I know it's not a lot of people's favorite thing, having to move their car depending on whatever schedule they live, or what part of the city they live in. But I think there's like an importance to it that's helpful to talk about and understand why it has to be done and with what regularity.
Yes, I mean it's not a parking authority thing. It's a federally mandated thing put on the city to make sure that the waterways are clear from debris. I mean, that's the genesis of what this is all about. So the city is mandated to do street sweeping twice a month of every street in the city. And our role is just to follow that street sweeper, and vehicles that don't move are given a citation for not moving their vehicle so that the street can be cleaned.
Are there ever discussions on like what it would take to lower the street cleaning fees? I imagine there are other city residents who have maybe like struggled with that. So any like programs or thoughts or discussion about what that might look like or what it might take to be able to do that?
I mean, actually, as a segue from the strategic plan, one of our tactical initiatives, it is in our plan. It is written in our plan. You can view it on our website. Um, we actually it's in our plan, it states to decrease the number of citations we issue. And I'd be hard pressed to find a parking organization that says, we want to make less money on enforcement. So the key is compliance. We want people to comply. We want people to move their vehicles. We don't want to issue them a citation. One of the things is key is notification, at least giving folks reminders that, hey, it's street sweeping day, move your vehicle. But with regard to cost, what's happened is if you get a street sweeping violation, it's $25. And street sweeping's twice a month in each block. So it costs $50 a month. And unfortunately, folks say, you know what, I can't, for whatever reason, I can't move my vehicle or such, but some people say, $50, that's just the cost of living in the city, and I'll just pay the $50. We rather they move their vehicle. So when you ask the question, is there a chance of reduction in fee? I would say no, because the fee is supposed to be a deterrent to get someone to move their vehicle. Unfortunately, $50 a month is probably not enough of to get folks to move their vehicle. So we rather not write street sweeping citations, and the penalty to do that is the penalty. I would not see it ever going lower, but who knows?
I like what you said about notifications because it feels like there's room for creativity there, whether that's having some kind of way that your phone acknowledges what street you've parked on and kind of knows that schedule. Because I think if I've ever like forgotten or parked at the wrong part, it's because I'm used to parking on the block where I live. But if I park on one of the side streets, the schedule is different. And so even having that notification come through and say like, hey, as a reminder, street cleaning is where your car is parked. Just because I notice like even the notification that comes through my phone, it knows where my car is and it will say like your car is on this street. So I think that would be really cool to see. Obviously, yeah, I hear what you're saying about wanting to just enforce that compliance and make sure that that operation runs smoothly.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of people don't know that. So after expenses, 90% of citation revenue goes to the city. It doesn't go to the parking authority. We get a 10% kind of management fee for running the program. So there's no incentive for us to write more citations. As I said, we stress whether it's street sweeping or residential permit parking or meters, we rather have compliance over enforcement.
That totally makes sense. I knew this would happen. Our time has flown by a lot quicker than I thought. And the last thing I want to ask you about is why are Lancaster Parking Authority staff members trained in life safety?
Yeah, it started years ago when we had a rash of suicides from the Prince Street garage, and people, the paper was making it a headline story, and people were commenting that it was my fault that people were jumping from the garages, and it was a very stressful time. And I had to really do a deep search and say, I'm a guy who parks cars for a living, and I've been presented this tragic situation, and what do I do? And there's a lot of information out there on suicides, but really nothing for suicide prevention from parking garages. So long story short is I kind of wrote the book on initiatives to deal with suicides or, potential life-threatening situations within our facilities. We're probably the largest landowner in the city. We have a lot of square footage. And so we took it upon ourselves to I kind of packaged it as saving lives, because a lot of times we're the first responders on a scene of a situation. It might not be a potential suicide, but it might be any kind of incident in the garage. And so we get our staff trained in all kinds of life safety issues, CPR, AED, so that when we're the first responders on the scene, our folks are trained to deal with that situation for the first 5 or 10 minutes until fire rescue gets there. And I'm proud to say that we have saved lives over the years by having our folks trained in all these areas.
That's a really great example of just like recognizing a need and knowing how to kind of fill that gap with what you're doing because it does make sense. I imagine your staff, I mean, they're out in the community quite often and would be witnessing things that other people might not see. So thank you for sharing that. Um, Larry, thank you so much for spending this time and talking with me. I'm curious if there's anything that I didn't ask you about that you want to share about your work or um, yeah, your day to day, what Lancaster Parking Authority does.
No, I just hope people, I appreciate this opportunity. I hope everyone hung in there for the whole thing. Um, I love the opportunity to speak and let everyone know that we do more than write tickets and park cars. And I hope people, um, you know, we're not the most loved organization in a city, but I hope people realize that we do our job well and we do it fair and we do it with a customer service aspect as well.
Awesome. Well, thanks again.